The hangar doors groaned open, and with it came the unmistakable scent of oil, rust, and dreams too big for a place this small. 14-year-old Ellie Granger wiped her hands on her overalls and peeked around the wing of the grounded private jet. The bird was sleek, silver, and totally out of place in her father's modest repair shop just outside Tulsa. It had landed in an emergency, something about an electrical failure. But what shocked Ellie more than the jet was the man who stepped out of it. Connor Raines. Billionaire. Tech mogul. Owner of half the streaming world and, according to headlines, the coldest man in business. He looked like he'd just stepped out of a boardroom, not a broken aircraft, in a three-piece suit that probably cost more than the garage. Ellie stayed hidden behind a toolbox. Her father wasn't here. He was in the hospital. His heart had finally betrayed him after years of 18-hour workdays and no vacations. The shop, his dream, had always barely scraped by. Now, without him, it felt like the world was breaking apart. But there was something about the jet. Something she recognized in the wiring. She'd been watching her dad fix engines since she could walk. And she'd built her own drone from scraps when she was 10. Maybe she could at least look at it. "You're the mechanic?" Connor asked, his eyebrow raised when Ellie stepped out, cheeks red and trembling. I'm just his daughter. But I might know what's wrong." He looked at her like someone who didn't have time for nonsense. But the reality was he had no other choice. The closest certified mechanic wouldn't get there for hours. A storm was rolling in, and he had a board meeting in New York that could make or break his company. "Fine," he muttered. "If you break it worse, I'll buy it and melt it down for parts." She nodded, heart thumping. For the next hour, Ellie worked like she'd never worked before. Her fingers moved like her father's had. She talked to herself like he always did, repeating the same words. Everything can be fixed if you care enough to try. She wasn't sure if she'd fixed anything. She wasn't even sure what was wrong. But she rewired a relay that looked off, secured some loose connections, and climbed down, brushing her greasy hands on her knees. "I think it'll at least start," she said quietly. Connor shrugged. "Yes, we'll see." The jet fired up. Lights blinked. Systems stabilized. And then, silence, followed by a slow, stunned exhale from the billionaire. "How did you?" he began. Ellie just smiled shyly. "I watch my dad. A lot." What happened next, no one in town could have predicted. Connor didn't leave. Not for a full day. He stayed in that little shop, asking questions, not about planes, but about her. About her dad. About how long they'd been holding it together. Ellie was honest. She told him they'd maxed out credit cards trying to keep the shop open. That she was scared to lose both her dad and their home. And for the first time in years, Connor Raines didn't rush, didn't scroll through emails or bark at assistants. He just listened. "I used to build things too," he admitted. "Before all the money. Before everything became numbers." He looked around at the humble shop, then at the girl with the stubborn eyes and engine grease on her cheeks. "You don't need a degree to be brilliant," he said. "You just need someone to believe in you." 1 week later, the jet returned. Only this time, it wasn't broken. This time, it came with cameras, reporters, and a crowd of confused neighbors. Connor stepped out again, but not as a billionaire escaping a crisis. He stepped out holding a signed contract, a full scholarship for Ellie to the top engineering academy in the country, along with a personal internship under his aerospace division. Then he turned to the crowd and announced something that would shake the whole county. "I'm investing in this shop," he said. "Not just to fix planes, but to build them. Right here. With Ellie as the lead apprentice." Gasps rippled. Ellie's knees went weak. Her dad, just released from the hospital, stood stunned beside her. "But why?" someone shouted. "Why here?" Connor looked at Ellie and said, "Because sometimes the greatest minds don't come from boardrooms. They come from garages. And because this girl reminded me of who I used to be before I forgot what really mattered." Today, Granger Aviation is no longer just a backwoods mechanic shop. It's a training ground for underprivileged youth with dreams too big for their zip code. And Ellie? She's leading design on the next generation of sustainable jet engines. When asked in an interview what changed her life, she smiled and quoted her father. "Everything can be fixed if you care enough to try. Because sometimes pretending to fix a jet isn't pretending at all. It's the start of fixing a future. And it starts with kindness, belief, and a little bit of grease."